Hey everyone! Today I want to go over an approach for animating dialogue text in Unity. A working example project with the full source code is available on GitHub and will be linked in the description. I developed this approach while working on the game Batbarian Testament of the Primordials, and I'm currently using it on the game Kingdom of Night. In a lot of games, the dialogue text is animated in, character by character. It seems like you could just add one character at a time to the text component's text property, but in practice, this presents several issues. If you're using word wrapping, you get this issue where as a long word animates in, it starts on the current line, but when it gets long enough, it jumps to the next line. If the text box is center justified, it will seem to expand from the center, which makes the text hard to read, and if you're using rich text tags to change the appearance of your text, you have to find a way to add the entire tag in one step so it doesn't briefly appear in the displayed string. I struggled with these issues for quite a while, and my solutions always felt like terrible hacks. I was writing tons of confusing code to pre-parse the text before sending it to the text component, and it occurred to me that it would be much easier if I could take the formatted text that the text component creates and animate that directly. When you set the .text property on a text component, behind the scenes, it takes your string, parses it, and creates a series of rectangles, one for each character being displayed. If you give the text component your entire string, the rectangles it generates will represent the text in its final correct form. I wondered if I could take the vertices of those rectangles and animate them myself, so I could just set the .text property once at the beginning and not have to worry about formatting again. I couldn't figure out how to do this with the old Unity text component, but with TextMesh Pro, you can get full access to the vertices of the output rectangles. You start by getting the TextMesh Pro component's text info property, and go from there. I will include a link to the TMP text info documentation in the description. To animate the text in, I needed to take these rectangles, make them all invisible, and then make them visible again one by one. Originally, I did this by setting the vertices color to be transparent. Each vertex has a color associated with it, so if you set that color to transparent, the letter disappears. I would then set the vertex colors back to their original color, 4 vertices at a time. This worked great and solved all the issues I mentioned before. The text component properly formatted and positioned the full string for me, and I just had to animate the color of the resulting vertices. Now that I understood how to work with the TextMesh Pro component's vertices directly, I wondered if I could do more interesting animations. In Batbarian, I ended up animating the position of the vertices instead of their color. I calculated the center of each rectangle, and had the vertices scale outward over a few frames until they reached their full size. This produced a more gradual animation that I thought looked better. This covers the basics of my approach to animating dialogue text. There are a few other features I added to the dialogue system that I would like to share with you as well. I wondered if it would be possible to have shaking text and waving text like I had seen in other games. This was relatively easy now that I knew how to modify the text's vertex positions, but I needed a way to specify only certain parts of the text to have the shaking and waving animations. In addition to the rich formatting tags that TextMesh Pro already supports, I needed to add my own tags, parse them, and remove them before sending the text to the text component. This began a long adventure where I learned more about regular expressions and wrote a system for recognizing several custom tags. Basically, it takes a string and runs a few regular expressions on it to find my custom tags. It then generates what I call dialogue commands, which are structs that represent some special operation, including the type of operation and the position in the string where it should happen. In the example on GitHub, the system supports 3 special tags. Anim tags to specify when to run special animations on the text, SP tags for changing the speed of the text, and P tags for inserting dramatic pauses into the text. In Batbarian and Kingdom of Night, I have added other special commands for playing sounds, setting character portraits, and showing the correct button icons depending on which controller you're using. It's possible to extend the system to support your own custom tags and dialogue commands. I've obviously glossed over most of this code, and there are quite a few edge cases I didn't mention that need to be considered, but the README on GitHub has a list of important places in the code to look at to start exploring how it all works. With a little modification, it shouldn't be too difficult to get the code working in your own project. Batbarian is available now on multiple platforms, and Kingdom of Night is coming along nicely. Both of these games are published by Dongan Entertainment. If either of these games seem interesting to you, or you are looking for a publisher for your own game, check the description for more info. If you found this video helpful, consider giving it a like. Thanks for watching.